You know what, y'all? I ain't gonna lie. One time I wrote a song that was literally titled I Will Follow You. And shortly after I wrote that song, I believe it was Chris Tomlin, like within weeks, maybe a couple months after I wrote that song, I will follow you. I will follow you. That song. Where you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. When you move, I'll move. I will follow you. Something like that. I can't really remember the words. You can tell I butchered it. But something in my spirit, I literally, I ain't gonna lie, I kind of got angry. I did get angry. Because I was like, was he remote viewing? Was he watching? I know that sounds too like I wasn't gonna say nothing because I already hear the thoughts of many people when they see and hear what I'm saying. But I don't care because I'm like, this is what be happening to people. I'm sure this doesn't just happen. Like I'm not saying he did that, but that's just how I felt when I heard the song. And I was like, was this MF for listen? No, I don't even remember the song. I literally wasn't gonna even sing that song no more. But my lyrics were different. But the melody of how he sang it sounded just like the melody. Just how I know that everybody don't catch on to the same melody of a song for something that have the same title is because even Daryl Walls one time in one of his songs when he was like kind of he was in the anointing saying something like these melodies have never been sang before or something like that. The melodies that he made that he sang and he's an anointed that like I if I paid to go to somebody's concert even though Chris Brown is talented, I said because I just was making a video when I was talking about Chris Brown and how these people was losing their mind, going crazy trying to go to a Chris Brown concert, even though he tight, real talented, but the people were acting like I was gonna say delusional. They were acting like out of their mind, like this man was Jesus, like he saved their life or something. Like like he was paying their bills and stuff. That's how they was acting like, oh, that's my daddy. That's how they some of these people were acting. They did crimes that even the hotels agreed to get rid of people's reservations and take the money for something instead of honoring reservations and stuff. Like I don't blame them. I get it because they wanted that money, but it made them so out of order that it was chaotic, and it was just chaotic and they did it for a Chris Brown thing. But if anything, I would rather go pay to watch someone like Daryl Walls, where there's an anointing and you're actually having something that's uplifting to your spirit. Yeah, it's entertaining to watch someone who's talented dance and do all kinds of cool moves. Like I would go see the Lay Twins too, but it was just I'm not gonna lose my mind. Like some of these people were going crazy. But anyways, I was saying that because I'm saying I feel like by me feeling that way, it's like I got a message of other people in this world in different places. Just like for instance, Peloton. I was just talking about creating something like Peloton. I'm not trying to seem self-centered, guys. This is just listen to what I'm trying to say. My thoughts sometimes move faster than I can get them out of my mouth. So what I was trying to say is I already knew people were watching me. So I said, give me an example of something that I can create because I was riding my bike all over the place for a couple years because I was getting in trouble a lot on the road. But now that I know what was going on, I see why. Besides the times where I was just speeding, but now I know why sometimes I saw cops follow me and then they would just come behind me all of a sudden and want to stop me. It's a couple times like when I dealt with Officer Christopher Blood, I called the sergeant on him and told the sergeant what was going on, and he didn't give me a ticket. Because the sergeant realized that he was just being a jerk, so he told me to just go. Um, and that was in downtown Hillsboro, Oregon. One late night, because I was watching that officer. He was way back on another street that I passed by. I happened to look down that exact street and saw him there, and I just kept going because I already knew he was there. Then he followed me for some time, all the way down till he got to a certain point. Then he flipped his lights on all of a sudden. I'm like, oh my gosh, it was stuff like that happening in my life. Like I remember those times. Even Officer Chris Blood and some other officer too, but that's not what this video was about. Me, I'm not gonna say it. But anyways, and I reached out to the lieutenant, and I think it was a black lady lieutenant at the time. That's probably why her punk ass went and moved to another state. She went to Cali or something because like maybe she got, I don't know why, but I remember I was like, really? She was the lieutenant and they were sticking up. I get it, he's an officer, but it was William Congdon, the other officer that he didn't know I was flexible, but he tried to harm me and twist my arm backwards out the window to do some sort of, I was going to say some sort of matrix shit, but that's not what he was trying to do. It was like, he was trying to abuse his authority like he was going to overpower me because he thought I was lying about my license. That's I just realized something when I remember that story. But he later he handcuffed me and put me in the car, and the license was exactly where I told him it was, because I forgot earlier that day I went to the pawn shop to get something, and that day I think is when I found out about polyphia, because I heard, and no, I think it was after that. But anyways, it was at the pawn shop. I heard somebody playing a song on a stereo. They was trying to sell a radio, and I was like, "What's that song?" And it was the Renaissance album, I think. And I was like, I likes that because I was playing guitar. I taught myself when I was 15 when I watched the DVD how to play guitar, and I made my first song on the lead guitar. I mean the electric guitar. But and then I went to bass. But anyways, I'm just thinking about how, yeah, that's crazy. I'm just remembering that the lieutenant, she took her black ass somewhere. Like that's why I don't. And then there's another black officer lady I know now that was connected to Daniel Riley, who came to gang stalk me as well. Now it makes sense when he was wearing certain colors, but he was looking fresh and fly, so I didn't care about it at the time. And then I started realizing like his pattern of behavior. It was unnecessary for him to be a 65-year-old man. But anyways, yeah, that's why I don't deal with certain people. And that's another example about wickedness in high places. Like the lieutenant, they had wrote me a letter back. I think I still got it in there somewhere way back from October 2012. This is how far back these mugs have been messing with me, bro. And I didn't know it. I used to wonder what it was. I wrote it off as systematic racism, but then some stuff, when I look back on it, it was deeper than racism. It wasn't just racism if that was attached to it. Some cases I don't believe racism was attached to it. It was deeper than that, but I'm not going to get into that right now. It was like on a spiritual level. But that's why sometimes when there's white people doing certain stuff, I don't always count it out as racism. I'd be like, that's a spirit up in their ass doing some shit trying to fuck with me. Sorry for saying it like that. Saying curse words. I apologize. But yeah, y'all. Chris Tomlin had took a song, y'all. And I ain't gonna say it, God forgive me, because at least he made a good song out there. He probably was really neat in the song and it sounded like a hit to his ass. Just like a Casa del Padre. They liked a song that I wrote and he was like, "Can we please sing this song at our church? Because it's so good and we really like it." I mean, like, they could have paid a nigga, but I wouldn't even like that. I was like, sure. I said they can go ahead and sing that song. I don't know if they still remember it, but cause if they do, they might not remember it exactly how I wrote it. But that was it might have been the "I Will Follow You" song, because the melody and the words, like his whole song was not exactly like my song, but the melody and then the words "I will follow you." I was like, when I heard that song, I was like, wait a second, because it came not long after. So I was like, well, to not be angry at him, maybe I picked up on him making a song like that, or something like that. I don't know. But I was like, you never know. It started getting me think that you see how Lecrae was. He didn't went to one of them parties too. He did Walrus, aka TD Jakes too. And I'm like, when I start seeing the path that Lecrae was going, I stopped listening to his music too. Because there's people out here, they out here under the guise of making Christian music, but they're living a completely worldly, unholy life. And I ain't perfect. I'm just talking about the stuff they're doing. Like I might be like worldly in a way, like how I'm just being myself, but I'm not out here going to certain parties knowing full. I don't even want to associate with people who's doing stuff like that because it pisses me off. it utterly disgusts my spirit. Like it makes me uncomfortable. Like how in the Bible is saying, if it offends you, don't eat it or something like that. That's how I feel. Like certain foods, I won't eat it, even if I see other people tearing it up. If my spirit don't agree with it, I ain't gonna eat it. So it's even if some I don't agree with something spiritually, like if those parties are kind of associated, like it's like a gateway type thing, like how they say marijuana is a gateway drug for other harder drugs. I feel like going to those parties is a gateway to sacrificing babies and stuff like that. I will not associate and go to any party from somebody like Puff Daddy. Like he even tried to not say anything about, he said that I can't talk about, but the fact that he said that just lets you know that it ain't cool what he was about to say. If somebody asked him a question about something, I forgot. It was something about him and one of those rappers or somebody, like if he had a relationship with them or did something with their booty or something. I forgot what it was, but he was like, "Oh, that I can't talk about that." But if you can't talk about it, instead of just saying no, like that's basically saying like, yeah, it's true what the mug asked you. Oh, goodness gracious. One final thing I want to say is like how I was listening to the fact that on what's his name, Mr. Felix Lopez. He has a smaller channel, but his channel is big. It's bigger than mine, anyways. But um, I'm just saying like it's smaller compared to other people channels that got like 10,000. I think I don't know how many. I can't remember off the top of my head, but his channel probably not too long ago was started, maybe a year or two, maybe 3 years ago, possibly even 5 years ago. But his channel was kind of newer still, so many people might not know it. But I say it so you can go and check his channel out. Mr. Felix Lopez called his channel "Welcome to the Awakening," and he was talking about how Albert Pike not only I mean not Albert Pike. What am I saying? Well, whoever that mug is, Aleister Crowley, one of them mugs. I can't remember at this moment because I see them all as the same. How they see all black people as almost the same. I see those people that do that stuff. They kind of the same to me too because they all doing the same demonic stuff. So, so anyways, one of them, I think it was Pike. Mr. Pike said something, or was it Aleister Crowley or Hall? One of those dudes, the one who said he's perplexed. He said he's perplexed, but I remember I was in a group setting somewhere, and they didn't say the other part that Mr. Welcome to the Awakening said on his channel. Mr. Felix Lopez said he said something about like I am perplexed, get out, Satan, or Satan, get out. I mean, they didn't say that part in that group setting that I went to. That's when they were talking about the fact that at the end of all of that witchcraft and all that different rituals and stuff that Pike did, at the end of the day on his deathbed, his last words was, I am perplexed, which he said was, I am confused. Satan, get out. I'm like, after all that, now you want to tell Satan to get out? And then what I was thinking was, if these mugs that's in the Freemason Lodge finally get to a certain level, like and they still they obviously know about that part that was said. Now just take this for a moment and know that if that dude was like so-called the grandfather of that Masonic witchcraft type stuff, even him dying and saying he's perplexed, Satan get out, that didn't ring no bell inside of anybody's mind and be like, no, this don't seem like something I want to do. They so dumb and desperate, I think that they're, well, I should say ignorant. They're ignorant and desperate to the point that even though they didn't even learn from his mistake, they obviously, if this dude was like that guy, Mr. Pike, was one of the top people doing that stuff. And at the end of the day, on his deathbed, he said that and tell Satan to get out. They main mug that they was worshiping. Why are you still trying to go and do it anyways? It was good enough for me to know that these people that kept randomly coming up to me, the first one, which was Kit Haberman, I still remember yourself, sir. I don't even know if he real, but if you ever find this channel and you see me since I was 19 years old, you randomly, out of all the seats that was open, you wanted to come and sit and talk to me and try to get me to go to a barbecue, and you couldn't tell me what was going on and this and that. And later on, I found other people on YouTube, mostly women, saying, the same thing about how they were invited to a party, but the person was always saying, but I can't tell you too much. You got to find out when you get there. I'm like, just them saying that. I'm like, well, I don't even want to go there then. Bye. Shoot. Could be trying to kill my behind. And then so I can't tell you. You fine when you don't say that part. When you add that part in, that's when you dumb. That's how I know it's those dummies, those ignorant people. I'm sorry, guys. I shouldn't be saying like that because y'all so sensitive. That's why you doing some of the stuff you doing now because you so desperate and greedy that and like sensitive. You ain't making it. So you so desperate you want to go do stuff that don't make sense to try to get what you want and then put down somebody who actually trying to get what they want the right way instead of trying to sacrifice somebody, killing them and doing and messing up their life and stuff. But you want to take your tail over there to a party that the person clearly said they can't tell you what's going on. Like I was dumb in the past. I ignored my intuition on something. That's why I got a charge for a theft too on my record that I expunged because I didn't go when God told me to go. That's my fault. I was like, no, I'm delusional. These people are not going to do anything to me. It was too late by the time I figured it out that it was a setup. That was ridiculous. I after that, I ain't never ignored my intuition about certain stuff, even when it didn't make sense. If my spirit was telling me someone right, I got up out of there. I was like, I ain't dealing with this no more. You can call me what you want, like Lil Wayne said. Uh, little Sorry, I have this kind of pet peeve when grown men call themselves Lil. That's why I like big dude. And he a blood, but I'm like, I don't care. He called himself big dude, at least, you know. But anyways, guys, that's beside the point. Big boog, big boogie. But um, it was just crazy. Like if somebody tell me they can't tell me something, like when you start adding all that, that sound like BS. Even my mom recognized that about me. She was like, when people come around and say stuff like that, I leave they behind alone. Like if I start seeing they on that BS, I leave them alone. I leave them to the side. And that one thing I also wanted to say is how my mom one time said something about me having anointing on me. She was like, yeah, because of all that anointing. And it made me look at her. I became perplexed then because I'm like, you're saying it like it's a bad thing. Don't you have anointing too? I learned this stuff from you guys. But sometimes sometimes some people in your family, they might have been going hard in the paint for God, for Jesus, and then they fall off or they never were about it how they portrayed themselves to be. And it hurts. It's so sad when it's your own family because you love them, like you care so much for them, but they let jealousy and envy get the best of them. They want to take you out. Oh, that anointing. Anyways, that was just ridiculous, bro. And then I'm thinking about how these people still steady be trying to do. They clearly see stuff ain't working, and they still try to go and do it anyways. But think that they so smart. Like, no, we gotta get this B. We gotta take her out. We gotta get this nigga. No, he can't make it. He too big. He too much of a threat. But he ain't doing nothing but trying to go show love and be doing some godly stuff. Then they send some Jezebel woman up in there to distract him, take him off course. Mm. Going to some party, but I can't tell you. Like y'all fine when you just don't say that part. If you invite somebody, just invite them. Like, make it sound real good instead of being dumb. It's like, but it's almost like they got to warn you about it before they complete their task. Like this, it's like something I forgot. Somebody was speaking on it. It's like they have to. It's almost like a hidden, esoteric thing, like a hidden in plain sight type of thing. They like Finkelstein, that interview I spoke on before, when he was deliberately, he was like, yeah, you goyim. He's telling, he was talking, basically mocking people for going to eat food that he was telling, basically admitting what it was. And people were still going to eat it anyways. I even spoke out about it once in Tazadok Shah Bay's crap that he made. This is Yahweh's work. But then when as soon as I said something about chopped up people, or that's not good because now that's making me okay. Let me not get off track because that's making me laugh at the comment section of one of, I think it was NBA YoungBoy video. when the auntie was dancing and she started dancing heavy and to the song, and it said people are dying, children are crying, and then some people wrote in the comments like, why she dancing about that? The stuff they were saying, it just made me bust out laughing because they brought it to my attention that she was getting down with it when it got to that part of the song. But then somebody explained it was because the beat, it was hitting hard and it was jamming at that time, but they didn't realize what they was dancing to. But anyways, y'all. Okay, let me. Sorry, I was about to get off track, off topic even more, but I couldn't help it because that just made me bust out laughing. Because then some people put the dancing emoticon, whatever they call it, emoji up there, and when they said why she dancing about that, and I'm like, dang, they made Auntie look real bad at that part. But anyways, y'all, just just try not to go to no parties when people invite you and then they start saying, "Oh, but I can't tell you this, I can't tell you that." Like that, they're better off making it sound like it's the best thing to ever come to. But be careful because when it sounds too good to be true, about the parties they trying to invite you, just know that these you follow your discernment when somebody trying to sell you on trying to invite you to come somewhere. Sorry, I just realized my hand was over the microphone part, and I hope this whole time I was talking, you were able to hear me clear enough. But I don't know. I'm just thinking about the tragedy of my family and like how these people are so skilled and how they try to play it off so good in front of other. Like I seen the skills of people, the things that people would do, and I looked at even my own family and see how they interact with other people, and you would not even know that they have these things that they do, but they'll be quick to try to say stuff about you to somebody else to make that person in on their jealousy or about you or something, or see you a certain kind of way. That's usually why I pretty much stay to myself. And I feel is disheartening even more because some of the people in my family are younger than me getting pulled into that BS. So you really got to be careful because age is not a factor in somebody coming against you trying to take you out because of jealousy. Sometimes it's old ass niggas like that pimp dude Daniel Riley, 65-year-old ass, having being a hater, and I saw his behaviors change towards me, and when he started recognizing my talent and me for who I really was, and sometimes they'll tell you about you how good you are, but they'll be hating you on the inside. So be careful about that because I noticed that I'm like you speaking the truth about, and you're encouraging me and you're trying to boost me up at the same time you hating me at the same time. I'm not explaining it very well, but I can't explain it, but is this is nasty to me. I'm like, well, just stay away from me. Don't even tell me nothing good. Another guy was doing the same thing last night when I was rapping, and he was like, hit a rap for him real quick, and then he was he said he sucks at delivery when he makes songs, but he said he loved my flow and my delivery. So but then there's just certain things people say and they do, it lets you know like yeah, they you wouldn't want to deal with them even if they were telling the truth and serious enough, acting like say for instance he was saying something about he got a studio and stuff, but people just be talking because even if you got up in the studio they'll be trying to f it up. And I because I said something about I wanted to put some songs out there on iTunes because just to go ahead and do it because this is part of what God wanted me to do. But I let some things happen in the past kill my dream to stop to not do it anymore. Even with my family sending my songs to TBN and I never heard nothing back. So I was asking my family, I was like, so what happened? Like, did they ever say anything or did they like the songs or what? But my family, looking back on what their response was, they were behaving as if they probably never sent it in or it was something that just didn't sit right in my spirit about the response. And this was coming from my parents, might I add. So you just got to be careful out here. And it even says it in the Bible about what was going to happen in the last days about daughters being against mothers or mothers being against daughters and stuff and all that other stuff. I don't read the Bible like that, y'all. I'm not going to lie. Okay. So I need to start reading the Bible more. Oh yeah, today's Thursday. You're going to have Bible study. But the same people who will invite you to go to Bible study will be the same people who, out of jealousy, would try to move you to sacrifice you in some kind of way, not necessarily always having to try to kill you. Maybe uh, defame your character. That's a way of sacrificing you in some kind of way so that you can't make it, to tarnish your character so that you can't be, so you cannot be seen as someone of integrity. So yeah, I can't stand that kind of stuff. I be seeing it too. It happens in the workplace. It happens like even with people in the same apartment complex you live in. I'm thinking about when I was living in an apartment on Arthur and First Street at Central City Concern, and the people was like they were buttering up the manager, Andrea Hood, and she couldn't wait one day. When I showed her the money was in my account, she went and filed the eviction anyway. It was that hating ass spirit in her ugly ass. And what made her ugly to me was her spirit, her evil wicked spirit. And Bender was there too. He used to ride his bike all the time. Now and then I think I see him around. I'm like, that's what made me remember that story, because I saw somebody who looked just like him on the bike riding around the area where I was at. And I seen him twice within the last couple months after not seeing him for a while. I'm like, you ain't got a car yet, baby. And he wearing all black. And I'm like, I remember I seen some of them gang stalkers that used to wear all black, and they always out in the streets and doing stuff in the streets. They'll never have a car, but they be everywhere, or they'll get rides from other people. And if they do get a car, they still be gang stalking. You'll see them in a nice ass Challenger pulled over on the side of the road talking to some homeless people in a tent, because they working with them mugs. That's how I started putting stuff together. And I was in a car, I was associated with somebody that was gang stalking me and other people, and I didn't know it until later, looking back on the things that they did. It made a perfect sense. Now they over there trying, I'm feeling sorry for them being out in the cold and the rain. I'm going to get them something to eat. They ask me, can they sit in my car? They get an attitude that I don't let them sit in my car, because I'm like, no, I don't trust you that much. Now some stuff been and went missing up in my car. It would have got damaged. So he got mad because I didn't let him in my car, James. So he gave me a hug, but he rubbed all the water and stuff on my face and stuff. I was like, oh, you dirty nigga. That's why I was like, I ain't talking to him no more. So that next time he came around with two other people knocking on my car window, because it was dark tinted, so you got to really look in there. But he was saw my phone light, and I just kept looking at the phone, because I'm like, no, I ain't talking to you, you dirty mf'er. You did enough. That last little move you did was the icing on the cake. I'm through with you, bro. Yeah. So this started off with the Chris Tomlin thing. And I ain't gonna lie, I like some of Chris Tomlin's songs, like the ones that I've heard. I'm like, he's good. But then it started making me think: is he somebody who remote views and have somebody give him ideas for songs? And now that I think about it, it might not be him. It could be somebody who write the songs for him. That because he the way he sang the song is good. I don't think he got that type of spirit, but it could be a songwriter that writes for him, that does stuff like that. See, that's why you gotta be careful who you be dealing with. Sometimes you don't know though, but everything works out in a divine alignment anyway. So you're not saying this, you guys don't have to be so scared. Just like when you peep certain stuff out, I like me in the past, I gave people chances, even though even sometimes I ignored red flags and wrote it off as me probably just looking too deep into it. Me doing that too many times is what made too much stuff happen that shouldn't have happened and didn't have to happen had I just followed. Me not, what me seeing the signs that just don't just fall back from that person. Don't mess with them no more. But I was still trying to be friendly and polite, and it just didn't work out so good. But I gave people enough chances to the point where even if they weren't like working with other people to gang stalk, if they just had a spirit in them that had them doing some stuff, they can't never say I ain't never give them a fair chance. Some of them, they so like self-centered and manipulative and narcissistic that they'll still say, even if you had proof to show all the times you was there with them, they'll still in their heart they'll believe that you ain't been there for them just because you don't deal with them no more anymore. I know somebody like that right now. He always wants somebody to pay him back for stuff he do and act like it ain't a thing, but then he hassle you for it later on. You're like, man, this ain't nothing. I'm looking out for you. Then later on, he come back trying to say, hey, so when you gonna do something for me? He's so stupid. Oh my god, silly self, ignorant, I should say. Golly, man. But yeah, I thought I was gonna stop around 11 or 17 minutes, but it's another 30 minutes, y'all. So let me go and get off here. I'm sorry. I just hope that people can like gather some wisdom from some of the stories that I'm sharing. That's all it is. All right. Love you.